Hey guys, basically I'm back here, and today I have another batch of Secret of the Mimic customs to show you guys today. If you guys haven't watched the first video where I showed off my first batch, I would recommend watching that just because those customs I worked very hard on, and same for these. Honestly, I worked a little bit harder on this batch, specifically on one character, which you could probably already guess who because of thumbnail. But anyways, I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm just going to get right into the first one. The first one being Sharpi. And, you know, despite this character seeming to be easy to make, for some reason, I just couldn't get it right the first few times. Like, this is like my third attempt at trying to fix this guy. Like, the first attempt, his eyes were completely different. It had like a white glare, like how the funk, like this little white dot right here that the Funko plushies have. I added it to Sharpi and it just didn't look good, so I just decided to just remove that. And also his ears were way up high. They were much higher up on his head, and so I had to lower them down because he didn't feel like Sharpi's kind of like a chunky boy, if you know what I mean. So I needed to make him, you know, show that more than just his overall size, which, if you guys are curious, this is how big Sharpi is compared to a Funko plushie. And this is solely because, well, if you watched the first part, then you know that most of the mascot suits that I made, I wanted the Mimic to fit inside because that's the whole gimmick of the Mimic. That rhyme, don't quote it, shut up. So I had to keep the consistency of, you know, the Mimic being able to fit inside this guy. But I guess really it doesn't matter if he does or not, because if you've seen the actual Mimic's model from Secret of the Mimic, he can stretch in and out like a stress ball. But getting back to Sharpi, I know that a lot of other people who have made him so far used like a different color from like the whole body, and like this very white tan color is only used for like the base, like the secondary color for like the belly and maybe the feet. And he's much more darker than this light, but I made this, you know, just with the images and the source materials that I had at the time, so just be fine with it. I mean, I'm fine with it. And really my main struggle was also the pink parts, just because I didn't know how I can make it seem fluffy, and I kind of tried to show that with like by adding like little spiky ends on like the ends of the arm and on the hands of the feet, because I don't know, it just didn't look good at first. I think it's fine now. I can definitely improve upon this, you know, if I was to make another, which there are like at least 2 other variations of Sharpi, as well as all the other mascot suits that I've yet to make and the ones that I've made. And yeah, to say that I'm gonna make every single mascot suit in Secret of the Mimic, I'll just say you're dead wrong. I am not making all of them. I'll only really be making the ones that I find the most interesting or the ones that stand out more. So like, I guess the Orville the elephant mascot suit is up there, but that's just for obvious reasons. But anyways, getting on to the next one is the hedgehog mascot, which this guy appeared a lot, surprisingly, like throughout the whole game, just in the background and just the Mimic wearing it. I think I actually did a decent job on him, you know, but this was made before the changes I made to Sharpi finalized. Like, I think Sharpi is better than this one, but at the time, you know, the hedgehog was still good enough, better than that. But I still think well, I mean, okay, scratch that. I still think this is good, but, you know, I can definitely do more of it. Like, I only added the spikes to the front of the head. There's nothing on the back except this little line that I also added for Sharpi, if you could kind of see, as well as his tail, which I completely forgot to show, just to symbolize, you know, just to signify the fact that this is a mascot suit. So, yeah, God, I'm gonna crash out. But yeah, as you can see, there's not, you know, anything more to him. I mean, the size is basically the same as Sharpi, so where do I put you? Now, this next one is honestly one of my favorites out of, you know, the whole set that I've made so far, which is the Digityper. Yeah, I am actually really proud of this, like, much more than I thought it would be. I do want to get one thing out of the way, which is, you know, his, like, little, like, typing stand right here, or, you know, whatever you want to call this, his shredder body, basically, his shredder legs. You can kind of see it through that, but it's not as noticeable, I don't think. I mean, you can't really see it through there. But I use a mystery mini box for this because I just had one lying around and I wasn't using it for anything, because what would I use it for other than display? And I mean, I'll be honest with you, I think I'm good on display, so I just used it for Digityper's little legs, or I guess his wheels, I guess. I don't know what you would call this. His shredder because you know, this part is meant to be the shredder where he puts paper in, and there is a little slide at the back that, because you know, if you pay attention in the game, then you know he would spew the shredded paper just out on the floor. This messy little robot doesn't know how to do his job, even though he acts like he does. I think I did good on all the other details though, like, you know, the head sculpt that well, I mean, I guess just the head mold, or wait, I can't say sculpt or mold because this is a plush. I don't think it works like that, or maybe it does, and I'm just being paranoid. The hat I thought was going to be tricky because, you know, I only hot glue my plushies, and I hot glue literally everything, so, you know, making a hat out of hot glue was not going to be easy, but I actually did a decent enough job, you know, and it's not that noticeable. And also for his limbs, I just gotta mention, I used wires because I mean, I kind of, you know, I was gonna make it, you know, make his arms, you know, the stubby arms, but I felt like it was only necessary, and also he kind of needs to type. He's the Digityper. He needs to do that. And yeah, there's not much else I could go into besides, you know, the hole in his freaking belly. And also his, like, he's just slightly a bit taller than, you know, the mascot suits. And this is how big he is compared to a Funko plush. So yeah, he's a little bit bigger, but, you know, not as big. Now, if you want to see as big. This one I was going to hold off to the end of the video because, I mean, obvious reasons, but I'm showing these in the order which I've made them. This one I made after Digityper, which is Big Top. I am so happy that I did not cry while making this. So you can obviously tell this guy is very big. He's just as big as DJ Music Band, which if you guys seen that plush, you know, on the channel, then you would have some idea as to how big it is. But if you don't, then, you know, here's, you know, normal Funko plush, and he is about actually like 3 Funko plushies tall. In other words, like 18 to 16 inches tall. This guy could have his own video for all I know, but honestly, the only reason why the DJ Music Man video was its own solo video was just because I kept yapping my lips off. So I'm not gonna do that, but I'm gonna get, you know, I'm still gonna walk through some things, which the head, you know, was not so hard to make. It wasn't as hard to make, and neither were these little horn things. It was just a matter of, like, you know, bending felt together and gluing it, and yeah, you could probably figure it out from there. Like, generally this guy wasn't, like, hard. It was just time consuming. But I will tell you one thing that was hard. This freaking stand body. Like, this whole part is made of cardboard because I just decided, you know, to take the easy way and just make it out of cardboard. It wasn't easy because I didn't know how I was gonna do it, and that's kind of the thing. I think I'm one of the few people to like make Big Top, let alone a good-looking one. So, yeah, there was nothing I could really do to help me on how to make the body, so I just had to figure it out on my own. And all I'll say is that all it takes is cardboard and misshaping and stuff. It takes stuff, and there is details, you know, on the stand itself, which you can kind of barely see because all the arms, which I'll get into the arms, even the big and the small ones, all use wires. They use the same wires that I use for Digityper right here, which are the Froki wires, if you know what I'm talking about. I'll put up the listing right here for Amazon if you're curious, because I don't want to leave you in the dark. But yeah, I used those wires for all the arms on here and this one. Like the big arms, first of all, were time consuming because, like, they weren't as hard. It was just getting them to, you know, stand, I guess, and stay. And they are actually pretty strong wires, surprisingly, if you bend them in the right way. Although I'm afraid that after a while they will break. Like, even now, I feel like they're gonna just snap at some point, which I hope doesn't happen, because if it does, I will cry. But I hope all the other details are pretty self-explanatory, like, you know, just layering felt on top of each other and just cutting shapes. You know, it's the same process with every Funko plush, or every custom plush, is what I meant to say. You gotta get out of here, you're not a thing anymore. So anyways, that is Big Top, and yeah, I think all the other details you can pretty much figure out for yourself when it comes to felt and Sharpie detail. And now we're going to move on to the last two, which you could probably guess which these two are, because I'm pairing them in a group, and it's freaking, if I can grab them, because my hand is struggling to freaking squish the things, Mr. and Mrs. Helpful. And we'll start this off with Mr. Helpful, which I'll just explain real quick. Throughout all of Secret of the Mimic, there are a bunch of other variants of Mr. Helpful and like what he wears. Same goes for Mrs. Helpful. And I'm just letting you guys know, I am not about to make like 20 different versions of Mr. and Mrs. Helpful, because first of all, that would make me go mentally insane, and also that would take up so much room that I don't even know what I'd be able to do if I was to get anything more. Like, now sure, I could probably find a way to make the costumes, you know, irreversible with the same plush, but I just was not gonna go through that. So I just decided, you know, for both Mr. and Mrs. Helpful, the ones you're seeing right now is all you're gonna get. And I specifically chose this outfit because, you know, it's the one we see at the beginning with the showtime. You know, this is the one we see, I feel, the most often out of the whole game. I could be wrong, but, you know, just from playthroughs I've seen, this is just what comes up the most. And this one was hard for no reason. Like the body was hard, not making it, but like the freaking, like the actual suit parts, because I just wasn't sure as to how I was gonna do it, but I did it nonetheless. And I will not go further into it because, I mean, you know, the details, they speak for themselves. You know, it's just a matter of cutting and placing and all that. His tongue is sideways. And I added this little peg thing that's, you know, on the bottom of him because he's usually attached to a machine or popping out of something. So, you know, Mr. Helpful, while seeming to be a pretty simple character to make, and I mean, he pretty much was, I still had to run into some errors when making him for no reason. And so we're just gonna finish this off with his little wife, Mrs. Helpful, which, you know, did not cause me as much stress because the design I chose was surprisingly not as infuriating. It didn't have as much as that little guy. And yeah, I don't know there's not much I can talk about because, you know, all the details explain themselves. You know, she got her lipstick there. And I did add, you know, I used Sharpi for the little blushes on their cheeks, both Mr. and Mrs. Helpful. And yeah, like I feel like Mrs. Helpful gets a lot of the details. They're a lot more cleaner than anything because, you know, Mr. Helpful I got done with first, and I guess I kind of learned from him, supposedly. So yeah, there's not much more to, you know, go into. It's Mr. and Mrs. Helpful. What more do you need? And that, guys, is my second batch of Secret of the Mimic customs. Now, there will be more, but probably not for a little bit longer. I only wanted to make these because, you know, I made them just very shortly after Secret of the Mimic came out. And, you know, I especially wanted to make Big Top because, you know, I had to. And so, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed, you know, me showing you, like, more of my customs that I worked very hard on because, you know, when it comes to new FNAF games, I always gotta, you know, do my best to make the characters, you know, despite me, you know, skipping out on some, and, you know, some I definitely won't be making, but, yeah. Ruined DJ Music Man is, he's a lost cause. Anyways, that is it for this video, though. I hope you enjoyed it, and, you know, I'm gonna be making more other videos. You know, this won't just be reviews. This is probably gonna be the last one, and the next video after this will probably be, I don't actually know. I won't make any promises, but I promise you it probably won't be a review. Unless I find something and I feel so desperate to make a video of it. But anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've said it like 3 times at this point. I'm gonna let you guys off the hook. Thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, goodbye. Tickets, please!
I stay lit, not like flickering lights. Good vibes and good times go well like chicken with rice. Squad goes, it's me, myself, and I, and just like smart homes. Trust me, the whole club know I arrived. I just wanna step over a velvet rope and people yell my name like a welcome home. Sharpi and love, my umbrellas closed. The club going up just like how swellings grow. Put on my finest pair of clothes, club so packed I could barely move. Stepping on my pair